the Commissioner of Tourism for the United States Virgin Islands, Commissioner Beverly Nicholson-Doty, who is also Chairman of the Caribbean Tourism Organization, Council of Ministers and Commissioners of Tourism. Elected in October, so it's your first full interview since the election. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It can't necessarily be as easy as it seemed because there are 30 plus countries, 4 main languages and myriad other little languages and various stages of development. But it must be exciting time for you as
It
well.
is extremely exciting, and you know, I have some practice because I come from an island territory where we have 3 different islands, and so I certainly know that each one has its own needs and emphasis that has to be played and spoken to differently. So it just is the multiplier factor for me now times 10, and I think that it's just really important for us to focus on all the islands of the Caribbean, the richness of our diversity, and making sure that high tide floats our boats.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit later about some of the plans and what your vision is. But let's talk about World Travel Market. Welcome back, I think, is what we should say.
Yes.
Because you haven't been at World
That's
Travel Market
correct.
for a while, haven't you? Have you been able to sense any difference between when you were last year, about 5 or so years ago?
That's correct.
And now?
Well, I felt that in the time that I've been able to walk around the floor, that there's a lot of energy here, there's a lot of activity, both from our main suppliers, but also being able to see our competition worldwide. And I think that's so important for the region to recognize why it's so important for us to have unity when you look at what the world has to offer.
Sometimes countries can question, is there a need to be at World Travel Market? Must I not? There is most definitely based on what you're seeing here.
You know what? You are conspicuous by your absence, and I think that it's important for the Caribbean to show up. It's important for us to be on the world stage because we have so much to offer.
You've been part of the Caribbean Village in the past, and if not at WTM, certainly at ITB and other CTOs, or facilitated, if you may, events. What are your thoughts of the Caribbean Village as organized by CTO?
Well, I think it's extremely important. As a U.S. territory, we certainly have the opportunity to be in the U.S. Village. We have never opted for that because we recognize, based on our geographic location, that it is so important for the Caribbean for us to be seen in a unified village, and people come looking for the Caribbean, and that's where you want to be as a part of the region.
You understand that, do you? You've got a Puerto Rican mother, although you're from the U.S. VI, but you do have a Puerto Rican mother, so it's
definitely.
to understand the mix and the diversity of the culture personally.
Yes, yes. We call it the United Nations at our Thanksgiving table.
Now, at WTM, it's not just about the trade show, is it?
That's correct.
There are quite a few meetings that have been happening. Let's talk first about some of the meetings that you've been involved with. What are some of those?
Well, you know, we've had the opportunity to meet with government officials, really having those discussions on the air passenger duty. This is an issue that is so critical for the region, and one that we cannot afford to ignore. We have to keep pressing, making sure that it's top of mind with the British government, and recognizing that we must do everything possible to ensure that this is addressed for our members.
How did that meeting go?
Well, I think it was extremely positive. We certainly had the air of, you know, many government officials at Treasury. We were able to have good discussions, but it is just important for us to keep pressing on and looking at what are the avenues for us to address this issue. Maybe changing our message, looking at our strategy, but really making sure that this matter stays on the table.
CTO has been lobbying against this thing from the very day it was announced, and there have been times when it seemed encouraging, but we know what the results are. So the Caribbean audience is looking at this and saying, what's different this time?
I think that, you know, there's always a certain politeness that we get when we have meetings with officials. We certainly felt that there were some encouraging information that we got in terms of things that we can do and things that we will be following up on that helps to further looking at this strategically from perhaps a different angle. This remains onerous a tax in terms of and puts the Caribbean at an unfair at a disadvantage. When we look at the most tourism dependent area of the world, we just need to make sure that we keep getting that message to people that can make a difference.
Do you get the sense that other regions, other countries are also getting involved in the APD fight led by the Caribbean?
I think that it's impressive to hear that other regions of the world, large regions that have indicated that the Caribbean has been the leader on this issue. They're certainly beginning to come along, but I think that the Caribbean will continue to be the leader on this matter because we have no choice.
So you've met British officials while here at World Travel Market. So you're saying, it's not just about an exhibition anymore. It's not just about a trade show.
No, certainly. We are speakers on several panels. It's about the trade show and the ability to meet the varying distributors of our product for the region, but it also is about our ability to meet with officials and utilizing our time while at World Travel Mart to do all of the business of the Caribbean.
Yeah, I noticed that you're being called into a panel that Hugh Riley, the Secretary General of CTO,
that's correct,
is moderating the panel. It seems that the world is beginning to say, well, we want to hear from...
Well, I think it speaks well to the Caribbean Tourism Organization that we are being sought after as speakers and as leaders of this very tourism dependent region, and we are being seen as leaders that they want to hear from, they want us involved, and that they're taking counsel from us. So this is good. It's great positioning for our membership. It's great positioning for the region.
What is it about the CTO that makes it so appealing to, as you said, something regions and countries that are larger than the Caribbean, that they've got to hear from the CTO and experience what experience?
Well, I think you have 33 countries within the region, 33 islands and territories that represent varying aspects of culture, personality, diversity, and in addition to that, so we bring a wide range of knowledge. But I think that the fact that there is this unification, speaking as one voice, one Caribbean, really carries weight with it and is a model that many other areas of the world are looking to our model now in terms of tourism development. And so I think that that's really an important element that sometimes we don't really appreciate what we've been able to do as a small region of the world.
After your election as chairman, at your news briefing, you mentioned a number of objectives that you were pursuing. One of them was the establishment, then still fluid, of a task force that has evolved into an aviation committee. Where are we in that?
Well, I'm excited about the fact that we've spoken to a number of individuals that are readily willing to serve on this aviation committee. They see the need, they see the potential, and they certainly see how a unified message as the region can help to address some of the perplexing issues that we have in the area of aviation. And I promised that in 30 days that we would announce this committee, and we will. And so I'm excited about it. I think that we have a really great cast of individuals that are volunteering to be a part of this, both from the private and the public sector, because this is this is an issue that touches the very core of our ability to survive as a region.
What is the aviation committee seeking to achieve?
I think that we have several objectives. Enhancing airlift to and between the region, certainly looking at varying issues from the San Juan Accord to Customs and Border Patrol and safety and security as it pertains to our airports and our aviation system. But we have a wide range of things that we are going to be working on actively, and there'll be, because we're looking at expertise that comes from both the public and private sector, we're going to have subcommittees that are working groups so that we can come back to our membership with actionable items that have been accomplished.
Of course, taxation is possibly the most vexing issue when it comes to aviation in the Caribbean, whether it's the APD that the Caribbean is lobbying against, or the introduction of higher taxes, airport taxes, whatever you call them, in the Caribbean, that passengers do have to bear as well. How do you reconcile lobbying against the APD and the higher taxes that some of the CTO member countries?
Well, we've never questioned the British government's right to impose a tax, and what we have adamantly opposed is the unfairness of the tax, and that it makes us not as competitive with other areas in the various bands. So that is the core of our argument as it comes to APD, that it puts the Caribbean at an unfair disadvantage. In terms of taxation within varying island destinations, we recognize that it's a very delicate balance. Our distributors, the tour operators, the airlines are putting more and more pressure on governments' aviation systems to upgrade their systems, to upgrade their facilities. And in order to do these things, we are talking millions of US dollars, and understanding the economies of the economic situation of many of our member countries, that there has to be some balance in terms of how they raise that equity for that investment. So I think that again, we are not saying that the British government doesn't have a right to taxes. What we have certainly asked is for them to be fair with us in terms of how they treat the rest of the world, and also understanding the balance of upgrading our product within the region.
So the Aviation Committee is going to look at everything that's got to do with...
Oh, we certainly are putting everything on the table for discussion.
In addition to the Aviation Committee that is, you said it's already together, you did have
a couple other. Yes, certainly I think that as, again, the most tourism dependent area of the world, we need to be at a leadership role in terms of sustainable development, and so that's something that's very dear to me in terms of how do we look at enhancing our product, moving our product ahead, but understanding the delicate balance with the environment. Human resource development also is very critical. How do we make sure that Caribbean people are in their position to be the leaders in our region, both in the public and in the private sector? And I think that that the Caribbean Tourism Development Company and our regional marketing is a critical area for me. It really is important, again, as we speak with one voice, we have so much better of a chance to really tell our story and to get out and to be competitive with the world. And it is important for us to look at the fact that individually we may not have the funding to put us on the world stage that each of our individual islands may seek to do, but collectively that voice and the business it is important that we get the business to our region, and then it's going to shake out where it goes to, but we want them thinking Caribbean, and that's just really important, and that's why the Caribbean Tourism Development Company and that regional marketing program is so important.
Fantastic. In summary, what's the story coming out of this visit to London through WTM and meetings and everything? What's the story coming
Well,
out?
I think it's so important for the region to know that coming to World Travel Mart is not just about attending a trade show. There are elements that are critical to tourism development in our region. It's a combination of using the opportunity to meet with government officials. It's the ability for us to be speakers and on panels and network with leaders from around the world, and being able to get the position and information out about the Caribbean, in addition to being able to meet with some of our key tour operators and service providers. So I think that being at World Travel Mart is multidimensional and an extreme value for the region.
Thank you very much, Commissioner.
Thank you.
All the best.
All right.